Yo, Goosey back in the cut to give you a 284 recap. Wild night of fights, great card. The crowd was fired up last night in Perth too, so let's get into it. Starting off, we had Anik, Cruz, and Bisping on the mic. Very risky combo, putting Dom Cruz and Michael Bisping in the seat together. They kept it under control. UFC probably gave him a little talking to. Don't razz it up too much on the pay-per-view tonight, and solid night overall. I do like their insight. Bisping gets a little crazy sometimes, but still a good night. With the first fight, though, interesting. I think he swayed the narrative a little bit. He's saying blatant robbery in Zubaira Tukhugov versus Elvis Brenner. Let's talk about it. First round, they came out. Elvis Brenner was definitely pushing the pace early. He was hitting more shots. Tukhugov probably hitting the more powerful shots for sure, but I don't know if the output outweighed the power in that spot. Elvis was constantly kind of hitting him with 2-3 shots at a time, where Tukhugov was content throwing one big shot, keeping it moving around the octagon. He didn't use the grappling that much. Eventually, as the fight went on and he started getting more and more tired, he was wrapping up the legs, trying to get those takedowns. But close fight, to be honest. Rounds 1 and 3, toss-ups. I think Tukhugov won round 2. So 30-27 Brenner is definitely a head-scratcher. Not as bad of a robbery as people are saying, though. There's definitely a way that Brenner could have won rounds 1 and 3, especially round 3 when Tukhugov really got content, took his foot off the gas, and just tried to wait it to the decision. Brenner was in there constantly trying to fight, constantly trying to get damage off, and the judges rewarded him for it. On to the next. We have Blake Builder versus Shane Young. Interesting fight. We had Shane Young as the Geeks. Probably our worst pick of the night, to be honest. Every other L was competitive. I think we went 6-4-1. Or 6-5-1. Could have been 7-5, 7-4-1, but Shane Young was not the best pick looking back. Banking on him after a 2-year layoff, evolving the game, adding some tricks to the bag, and he really didn't. You know, he was always known as a tough guy, try to keep it on the feet, and the same thing rang true in this fight. He wasn't necessarily quick. He wasn't trying to get the grappling going. He was just relying on toughness and kind of trying to outdog Blake Builder. Blake Builder, 32 amateur fights, 7-0 as a pro, now 8-0. Went out and got it done. He was smacking a left hook home early. Waited out round 2. He said he was trying to make sure he didn't gas out, and he came out round 3 hot. A lot of damage going on in round 3. He mixed the martial arts. He was the one getting the grappling going, better strikes on the feet. He won the decision 29-28. On to the next. Loma Lookboonmee versus Elise Reed. Elise Reed, Geeks Chat, came out last week. Very good conversation. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. She predicted a round 2 KO. She ended up getting submitted in the second round, but it was after a very good first round. She was getting it going on the feet. She said she was expecting leg kicks, and Loma was smacking some leg kicks early. We saw the bruising. As the round went on, Elise Reed kind of got the timing down, evade, pick and pop, was hitting combos, forcing Loma Lookboonmee to shoot takedowns, reverse the takedown, was giving her the business from top position to end the round. Elise Reed wins round 1. Round 2 comes out. Loma Lookboonmee definitely increased intensity. She knew she lost round 1, tried to get it back in round 2, shoots in for a takedown, goes around, gets the back, and in a scramble snatches that neck up, rear naked choke. Good look for both girls. Loma Lookboonmee, very interesting follow going forward. Elise Reed, always a scrapper, always going to be entertaining fights. So going to be interesting to see where they go from there. Next fight, two extremely tough dudes. Jack Jenkins versus Don Shanis. Jack Jenkins was ripping those leg kicks. They aren't necessarily the quickest shot, but I think he's probably got just some mass in those legs, a lot of power, because they were doing damage, especially early. You see Shane is limping, really trying to avoid the leg kicks, and when he couldn't, he was paying for it. Shanus was hitting some good punches, some good combos. Jack Jenkins was doing the better counters though, as Don Shanus was rushing in. And I think that was the difference. Sheamus never could really get comfortable in there. Jenkins started to pick his shots. Both guys were probably more comfortable in the grappling department when things got tough for them. They were shooting takedowns, trying to clinch up against the fence, get the submission game going. Either way, fun fight, a true scrap. They were playing it up to the fans, a little bit of showmanship. And then even at the end, one of the more interesting moments, Jack Jenkins, with a few seconds left, hits a front kick off the dome piece, and Sheamus was out of it for sure, because when the bell rang, Jenkins went to give him a hug, and Sheamus had no clue the fight was over, pushed him off, tried to keep coming forward, and the ref had to step in, say, "Hey, buddy, fight's done. Go hear what the judges had to say about it." The judges said 30-27 Jack Jenkins, and going to be a good follow going forward. He's got the mustache, got the mullet, electric combo. He was pretty good on the mic. Good all around fighting. It's excited to see what he does next. He said he wanted to fight middle of the year in America. So let's see what comes to fruition from that. Next up, I believe this is where we get into the prelims. We have Jamie Malarkey versus Francisco Prado. Francisco Prado, 20 years old, taking the fight on short notice, 11-0 prospect, all finishes. You could see that he was a dangerous fighter. He was throwing bombs in there. He's quick on the ground. He's very strong. You could see that Jamie Malarkey was really trying to hold him down. I expected this fight to be a tale of two halves. I thought Prado would come out, be dangerous early. Malarkey would have to withstand an onslaught and then get it done late. Malarkey came out round one with a very good game plan. He tested it on the feet. He got hit with a few good hooks and then went straight to the wrestling, drowned him out that first round, got his feet wet, got Prado tired in there, and really started to take over rounds 2 and 3. Prado, on short notice, he showed he was very game, very interesting going forward, especially at just 20 years old. You can tell he's got a little something about him. He's a good prospect, and I'm interested to see what he grows into. Jamie Malarkey, dude's a vet. Okay, he can mix the martial arts, man. He's not a fish out of water anywhere. He's good on the feet, good grappler. Called out Patty Pimblett at the end, and that's a pretty good fight. I don't know if the UFC does that. I think they'll go with Patty versus Tony Ferguson personally, but if they want to, Jamie Malarkey would be a good scrap as well, entertaining for the fans. So very interesting call out. On to the next flyweight scrap mismatch. Clayton Rodriguez came out, put it on Shannon Ross. Very dominant performance. He was hitting him with some spinning kicks, power to the body, few hard punches, but at the end of the day, Shannon Ross took a kick to the ribs, and that was all she wrote. He started slumping over up against the fence, trying to get away. The spin started hitting. Clayton Rodriguez let a flurry go and sat him down, had the ref stopping it 59 seconds into the first round. Clayton Rodriguez, massive flyweight, very good striking. I don't know if there are going to be a lot of flyweights that can strike with him, to be honest. Grappling, he can definitely hold his own as well. Very interesting follow going forward if he can make weight. He weighed in at 127, missed weight. So if he can get that weight cut under control, flyweight might have a real problem on their hands. But he could be going up to 135 too, because he's a young guy, a big dude, and that weight cut's not going to be getting easier. So let's see what happens there, but very impressive performance from him. Next up, banger fight. Round 2 submission for Joshua Coulibaly. Round 1, the Geeks picked Melsick. We anticipated it to be a striking bout, and Melsick was getting the better of the exchanges on the feet. At about halfway through the first, he caught him with a hook, busted that nose, insta blood coming out of the nose of Kulibao. Such a dog, though. He's fighting through it, right into a spinning back kick straight to the nads. That hurt me watching. I know the fans in Perth gave out a little gasp there. Kulibao, not happy about it. You could tell he was hurting in there. But he dogged it out. Only took about 2 minutes. Got back in, 20 seconds left in the round, got to the corner. He said he was still hurting, but came out round 2. Melsick gave him a little headbutt. Wild move. Wild move. Bisping was even talking about it. Pissed Kulibao off, though, because shortly after, caught a kick, left down the middle, kind of knocked Melsick off balance. He snatched that neck up with the rear naked choke. Melsick, the gun, got hit with the gun celly from Kulibao, and Perth was going wild as the Australian gets it done. Electric guy, very good on the mic, and always going to be a scrap when Kulibao's in there. I don't know if he will have a fight that isn't a possible fight of the night, so definitely keep your eyes on him going forward. He's always gonna put on for the fans. Next fight, big fight. We had the main event of the prelims: Modestas Bukauskas versus Tyson Pedro. Geeks were on Modestas Bukauskas. If you haven't seen that video, the little clip we were putting out, Fish came through, swayed the opinion with a big stand behind Modestas. The Geeks went with him. He got it done. Dog. That's all I'm going to say. Last year, got his knee stomped out, recovered. UFC cut him, went to Cage Warriors, grabbed the strap, came back, 10 days notice, 2 weeks maybe, and put it on Tyson Pedro. Everyone thought Tyson Pedro was some killer, some absolute finisher, a real problem at light heavyweight. Turns out he might have been not fighting the most caliber dudes, but give Modestas his flowers, because he came in, stopped the wrestling. He was able to get taken down, but get back to his feet, hit some good shots, and keep it going into the later rounds, which is definitely going to be the game plan for opponents against Tyson Pedro going forward. Because about 4 minutes into that first round, Pedro was taking big breaths, noticeably gassing out, and from then on, Bukauskas just started taking over. Rounds 2, rounds 3, very, very dominant for Modestas. Very good showing. I'm happy he's back. The Geeks are happy he's back. Let's see what this guy does going forward. Interesting to see what the UFC does with Pedro, because that definitely stopped the hype train last night. We are on to the main card. The main card here started out with a bar fight brawl. Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menafield. Fight comes out. Jimmy Crute is pushing the grappling pace like his life depended on it, and it might have, judging by how that fight went, because Jimmy Crute came out, got hit with some shots early. I would have liked to see a little bit more head movement. As somebody that picked Crute, I was anticipating him to be getting that head off the center line, but this is more of what we saw. Either way, very tough. Very tough. Can't complain. He was pushing the grappling. Alonzo Menafield able to get back up to the feet, withstand an early onslaught, and really get some shots going. He had Crute out on his feet a couple times. This will be one that's tough for him to watch back. He definitely had a lot of opportunities that he didn't capitalize on, especially up against the fence. He was willing to kind of get into the clinch with Jimmy Crute, where if he would have taken a step back and rained a few more punches, a couple combos, I think he would have got Crute out of there. At the end of round 1, Crute was out on his feet, wobbling back to the corner, came out, definitely not recovered. But Menafield was whacking him around the ring. Round 2, and then he went underwater too. Crute started to get a second wind. I don't know if it was a second wind as much as he was just less tired than Menafield. But from about 2 minutes into the or 3 minutes into the second round, Crute just kind of had a little bit more gas. This was a true war of attrition. Menafield probably won rounds 1 and 2. I know one judge gave one of them to Crute, but comes out round 3, tries to get a takedown. Menafield, brutal cage grab. I don't know if it was worth a point, but Goddard was not playing games in there. Took the point, put him back in the position. Crute ended up securing the takedown, and it got him a draw thanks to Mark Goddard in that one, to be honest, because they went to the judges. Crute would have lost a split decision with that point taken. They get the majority draw, but bar fight, war of attrition, brawl. Dudes went to war in Perth. Got to respect it. Up next, the big bang is Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter. It was always Justin Tafa. All right. Parker Porter was not going to be able to withstand the punches. He didn't really have a grappling threat. Tafa has pretty decent takedown defense. Porter was pretty slick early. You know, those big porky shoulders were guarding the head, but he got a little bit too eager, was rushing in on his punches, and Justin Tafa hit that step back hitter, bruh. Real quick left, that Conor McGregor-esque step back, bang it home, hit the button, put Parker Porter out, and gave a little shrug like he expected to do it all along. The fans in Perth were going crazy. The bad man Tafa is back, and very interesting at heavyweight because he's slick. He moves well for a big boy. He's obviously got pop in the hands, and I think he's got some interesting matchups. I don't know if he's going to get to that top tier of heavyweight, but he can beat those mid-tier guys up for sure. Parker Porter, he's got a spot in the UFC too. You know, you get caught with one punch at heavyweight, shit happens, bro. But he's definitely got some matchups that I think he can go out and still do well in. So we'll see where both of them go from here. Next up, we're starting to get into the big time fights here. We got Jack Della Maddalena versus Randy Brown. And talk about getting hit by a shot, because Randy Brown was doing good early. He was looking like a massive dude in there. He was keeping distance very well. A little bit of showmanship, you know. He was kind of dancing in there. Eventually, Jack Della Maddalena with that high guard, tight guard, not a lot of punches getting through, was just walking him down. Like the Jaws theme was playing. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. He got him up against the cage, walked in as Randy Brown tried to exit, hit him with a big right hook. The legs went stiff immediately, face plant, and everything from there was a technicality. JDM jumped on, got a little ground and pound going, and then snatched that neck up for the third rear naked choke of the night. Probably the most impressive performance of the three. The man's got dynamite in his hands. You know, I don't know what is next for him, but I would like to see a ranked bout for sure. He say he wants to come back middle of the year. Let's give him someone like Luque or someone that he can go out and put a banger fight on. Grappling, I think he does well too. He can definitely hold his own, but if you put him in a stand-up fight, it's a guaranteed banger. A lot of fireworks. So let's get something interesting. Also, Randy Brown, dude got caught with a punch. I said it for Parker Porter. I'm going to say it for this. Shit happens. You know, he was doing well. You can tell the skills are there. Don't write him off. I think if he can fix some things up, he's definitely got the skills to be a problem, live up to that hype that he originally was at welterweight. So interesting going forward. I'd love to see him get a good matchup that he can bounce back with. We're on to the co-main. Yeah, Rodriguez, what an electric factory. The dude he does stuff that you don't see. All right. It's like video game moves with him in there. He's spinning, he's throwing bombs, he's got baseball bats for shins. I mean, he was whipping kicks home on Emmett's body, hitting the legs, and Emmett was not liking it. You know, Emmett brought a cannon to a gunfight, and that cannon was a big right overhand, connected once or twice, maybe. Yair was definitely rocked the first time it hit, had to survive the first round after he was winning a solid portion of it, but once he got hit, he survived it. He knew what to expect. And the thing about bringing a cannon to a gunfight, takes a while to reload, kind of a one-trick pony. You're not going to win the featherweight interim strap just bringing a big right overhand to the party. Yair got to the point where he was picking, popping, evading that right, and sitting on counters, getting Emmett very uncomfortable. Really, really stopping the movement of Emmett in there. The body kicks, you could see it welting up on his ribs, brutal redness on that pale frame of Emmett. He throws the flying knee when Emmett's hurt, and Emmett grabs the legs, gets him in the grappling. And Yair even shows off an evolution of his game there, puts him in the quick triangle from bottom. I mean, the dude's just dangerous, real life ninja. And I'm very excited for his next fight against Volkanovski for that featherweight strap, because he's kind of a bad matchup for him. Volkanovski likes to keep it on the feet. Yair likes to keep distance. He's going to hit some nasty kicks. He's quick with those straight ones and twos. And those are all things that could give Volk problems. But that's a talk for another day. Let's get into the main event, where I'm going to sing Volk's praises. Absolute banger. Such a high level fight this main event was. Very rarely do you get, you never get pound for pound one versus pound for pound two. This is the first time, but very rarely do you get a fight that is extremely hyped up, that lives up to the hype. And this fight did that. It probably won't be the fight of the year when it's all said and done, but to this point, it is the fight of the year. Absolute banger. The fans in Perth were going nuts when Down Under hit the speakers. That's a moment that needs to go viral. It needs to stay in fans' minds, because this is why we love the UFC. The biggest moments, absolute electricity in RAC Arena in Perth, Western Australia. And then Islam walks out. He's getting the boos. It's got the huge fight feel. The fight lived up to it. You jump into it. Everyone was wondering, could Volk stop the takedowns? Volk's saying his grappling's improved so much, but you got to see it to believe it. And it was very evident early on that he was going to be able to hold his own. The striking, Islam surprised a lot of people, give him his props, because, takes two to tango. They came out, put on an absolute banger performance. Round 3, my head was spinning. I had no clue how to score it to that point. I thought it could have been 2-1 either way. Round 4, Islam, he won it, but the body triangle, bro, I don't love that move. It's kind of just a stall in the fight. There's not a lot of dominance there if you're not threatening subs, which he wasn't. He was getting punched. But round 4 to Islam. Round 5, most dominant round of the fight. Volkanovski drops him, puts him face first on the canvas, and then finishes the round in ground and pounding from top position. Judges gave it 3-2. Derek Cleary, what is that, dude? 4-1 is horrible. 4-1 is horrible. All right, you can make an argument 3-2 Volk, probably 3-2 Islam. Either way, maybe the most high-level fight I've ever seen. Absolute banger. Classic case of Volk overall winning the fight, but Islam doing enough to edge rounds within the rule set to get it done on the judges' scorecards. Either way, I think pound for pound, if that's a true measure, Alexander Volkanovski giving up the size like that, that's a 50-50 fight. I think Volk is pound for pound number 1, but they're going to give it to Islam this week. Either way, not to take credit away from Islam, came out, did a lot of good things on the feet. He was able to hit some big shots early. He was more willing to get in the pocket and throw combos, but as the fight went on, the hand speed faded. Volk, better gas tank. Islam was really trying to pick one shot and get out of the way and then shoot a takedown when Volk was lunging in. The game plan from both were so high level, so effective, and just I love that fight. I don't hate that Islam got his hand raised. I think a lot of people would have liked to see Volk get his hand raised, given the situation, given they were in Australia, the 3-1 underdog, giving up the size, a true 50-50 fight. But at the end of the day, that's how it goes sometimes. That's the name of the game. And very interesting going forward. I don't think Islam has a big time fight his next time out. Alex Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez is going to be massive. Maybe they run this one back though. It could be an immediate rematch. We'll see what happens. Either way, banger night of fights, banger card. Hit the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. And as always, geeks are going to the moon.